I'm going to start by reading you a poem which I started being every reading with in Cornwall. In Cornwall we have a tradition of town criers, and this is what the town crier used to be the media before the newspaper took over, and this is what the town crier would shout, according to me, I wrote it, at the beginning of a special event, or if we were doing a big marketing push for Truro. Everybody happy? Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay! Earl Richard and Elizabeth Tudor granted her charters. Missionaries, traders, explorers sailed from her waters. 3 rivers under 3 streets, 6 bells at Copper St Mary's, chapels, churches, spires, pulpits, hymns and prayers shout to heaven, fine houses, bright shops, and at night the rhythm of the tide, egrets spearing eels with godwit regrets, peregrines persecuting pigeons, gulls pinching pasties, rooks preaching dark damnation in cathedral oaks, the harmony of seasons. Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay, Truro, Cornish town, Cornish city, be well advised, invest, insure, win Whitson's fair best goldfish prize, eat well, drink to be wise, come and return again and again and again, for all of 1,000 reasons. Truro Agast Arc, Kerno Bisvican, God bless the Duke of Cornwall. Gets on with it. Kerno Bisvican means Cornwall forever. Truro Agast Arc is Cornish for welcome to Truro. Now, to conduct this next part of the exercise, I'm going to have to turn this around a bit. There we are. Move that up there like that. There we are. So, here we are in Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Kentucky. And my granny, who lived in Redruth, she emigrated to Canada with my grandfather just after they got married. She knew very little of the world, and grandfather knew a bit too much, especially about drinking. And grandfather took all the money and drank it, and granny wrote home to her father and said, "Please, will you send me some money because I want to leave my husband and come home." In the meantime, Granny had discovered that her tummy was swelling up for reasons that she did not understand. And eventually it got a bit painful, and then she passed out, and when she came round, she was in a teaching hospital being ministered unto by 6 trainee doctors and 1 doctor who delivered her of a child, my mother. By this time, the old man had been home and taken all the money again. So she wrote home to her father and said, "Please send more money, I want to come home desperately, and now I've got a child." And he wrote back and said, "Well, you'll have to hang on a minute because we've got a bit of a depression going on, and if you wouldn't mind, I've just got to raise the money, so you'll have to stay there for a bit." So Granny, in order to make a living, did the one thing she knew how to do. She played the piano. And in Toronto, you've got the longest main street in the world. And up and down that main street, there are all sorts of institutions like bordellos and casinos and gambling joints and betting shops and all those. And Granny started playing piano in these institutions. And Granny eventually met a man one night in 1927 who taught her how to play the St. Louis Blues. And Granny did not look back. The first live music that I heard when I was a little boy was in my granny's sitting room in 52 Adelaide Road, Redruth, Cornwall. And it was the St. Louis Blues. And eventually, some years later, I asked her how she had come to learn the St. Louis Blues, because by this time I'd developed a taste for the blues. And she said, "Well, I was in this place one night and I met a man called Mr. Morton, and Mr. Morton showed me how to play this tune. And I thought about this. I said, he wasn't called Jelly Roll. She said, that's the man, Jelly Roll Morton, who of course was the man who invented Boogie Woogie Piano and wrote St. Louis Blues. So by this time, my granny had gone so far up in my estimation, she was sort of ballistic and heading for the outer reaches of the atmosphere. So this is the story of Florence Jennings, the Ballad of Florence Jennings. Well, I remember when I was a young boy, standing at my granny's knee. She told me her adventures when she sailed across the sea. She told me of the New World and the hope that set her free, and the crying in her Cornish heart for the fool she'd been to flee. And she played boogie woogie in a juke joint, just for the dollar to make her rent. Oh, and at midnight she played Trelawney for her red roof mining man. On the sidewalks of bursting cities, in the cold creaking rooms, in the queues for small employment, and the rumors of mining booms, as factories shut and hammers fell in the auction of threadbare looms. She carried a fire-lit memory of granite and heather combs. And she played boogie woogie in a juke joint, just for the dollar to make her rent. And at midnight she played Trelawney for her red roof mining. I remember she told me from the distance of her age that no matter what good fortune would be writ across my page, my homeland will know my spirit. It will calm this stormy rain that can always my freedom. No, 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 never my freedom's cage. And she played boogie woogie in a juke joint, just for the dollar to make her rent. Oh, and at midnight she played Trelawney for her red roof mining man. And at midnight she played Trelawney for her red roof mining man. There you are. Well, that was the Ballad of Florence dear of her. Now, I come from a town called Truro in Cornwall, and like every town, businesses start up and they flourish and people flock from miles around to buy what it is they're selling, and generation follows generation, so and son becomes so and son and grandson, and then eventually one day fashions change, business goes out, something else comes in. On the 29th of April 2006, W. Vage and Sons closed its doors. W. Vage and Sons had provided engagement rings, wedding rings, barometers, napkin rings for people getting married, people getting engaged, for children, for anybody, godchildren. They were the jewellers of choice for the people of Cornwall. This is called Closed. It's a very simple poem. What jewellers, Vages? Been there for ages, since the age of the horse. Pure gold, of course, taking the measure of pressure and leisure, barometers of love, always hand in glove with the caution of passion, while the wheel of fashion etched tracks on the face of clocks on the wall of a timeless place. What jewellers, Vages? Been there for ages. Today, look your last, the key turns, locks fast, and the barometer's hand slips limp. Rest, sad band, on the thin third finger of our widowed town. Don't linger. There went Mr. Vage. Then one day we went on holiday up to Boscastle and we met Mr. Hurd. And Mr. Hurd was a farmer who discovered that tents and caravans were quite the best form of crop to grow. This is called the best crop. I never growed teddies nor swede. Brassicas I had to go at when I first started, break your back broccoli. I had a milking herd most of me time, 200 head, but I dropped back to 100 when the boy started up on his own. I've had a fair living, I shan't complain, living here with chapel folk and the village, but I never had a crop like this, and prices you won't get up market, always going up. This, I look out of a morning, and after me chores, I go round and chat to a few. Caravans, boy, no crop like them. There you are. And then, not so long ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. Have you got Dollar General in
Yes.
in Cincinnati?
In Kentucky,
Yes.
certainly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I will change the words of this poem. This is essentially what happens when a diabetic discovers that he's diabetic, and all the delights of cake disappear out the window. My bladder makes me madder than an adder on an iceberg. I'm an alphabetic, arithmetic, peripatetic, diabetic, pumping in the insulin, keeping pressure low. Cheers and gone to jammy cream scone. Oh, Co-op, oh, what was it called again? Dollar General, Scottish oatcake. Hello. There you go. Now, I come from Truro, and this is just Truro. This is the story of Truro. This is the town of Truro. On three sides, Truro's a bowl, rimmed by farms, scooped out as if by a grabbing fist, rounded by the flowing waters of her three rivers, plunged into south, north and west by hand-cut roads, and in from the east, day after day, running the gauntlet of crouping curlews, swilling about the razor-red legs of herons, so still, sweeping forth and back across the shining mud, rides in, rides out, the poking, searching tide, delving into the tips of delta claws, swelling and shrinking under foot-smooth streets. Three rivers the English would have called them if we hadn't been here to say it proper, but we was here, gossiping and trading, doing a bit of fishing, assaying a bit of tin, carding fleece and weaving carpet, way before the time when they, on fine horses, come sightseeing and laying down the law. And Truro it is, a close town by a worldly port. It's in a bowl, beneath the frost, and in the morning looking down from Kenwyn or Tregearra, with thick mist resting like suds on steamy water, and they three Sputnik spires upwards pointing, tickling the chins of fleeing clouds, he'd a look for all the Cornish boys round the world like nothing less than the washing up in a very Georgian sink, till the sucking sun lifts the dew and the river's breeze push up the mists. Then, and only after a chorus of crows and gulls have skittled the nightly silence aside, out rings the old town clock. Bong, bong, bong. 7 times, 7 times and a quarter, till curtains part in windows like the Red Sea, and eyes to look up, struck as at the crack of Moses' staff upon the sets of Front Street. Under the town clock, as their 7th echo settles like silks into a breeze-stirred pile, grey wigs and dark robes fall on heads and shoulders as the ghosts of clerks and magistrates and the spirits of 500 mayors drift in infinite dance amongst the shadows, and down in the bowl at the ford of 5 bridges, in the haven of Triu and Moresque, the old body of Trura incarnate, to rise up again like Lazarus, like Spring herself, to be ready, prepared as a scout for everyday business in the everyday way. Trura. And then we come to children. Here's several poems about children. The first one is about the newest child I know, whose name is Maggie May. She's about
She's on camera.
that long.
She's on camera.
Sorry?
She's on camera.
She's on camera. She's about that long, okay? She howls a lot, and she's getting to learn how to go to sleep, which is a great relief to everybody. Winter woken toboggan birth, how tight the fallopian path, how slip the snowy slide, and breath, flesh, milk, beginnings of everything. When cradle arms provide the heartbeat bed, open-eyed tender gazes collide, the lone gestative vigil uncoiled. How urgent, resistant, eager, the contracting, pushing rush into air. Look under here, lots and lots of hair. The sleep of battle, lost and won, love's victory is solitude's deflated womb. A scare of pain casting nets, a final seine of shoals of free-willed regrets, barrels of salted hope packed and sealed, and fear, such fear the cold air sets. But what fear has birth revealed that this dreamt and laboured breast cannot, as if a statute overwhelmed by natural law, be repealed. Spurted, sucked, the inner work, and unfurled in elbow comfortably tucked, and belly cells so rude, so abrupt through pelvic cries of curiosity as to interrupt and eject. Hello, sweet bell, how well you yell. And oh, such small, perfectly formed hands to sweep around this persistently corrosive hourly face. Sleep. Allow the revolutionary struggle, the cause and effect, the cast-off tube, the cold inflation, exhalation, scales, measures, inches, pounds, ounces, and a name. Allow yourself to sleep. Oh, sleep there in the crook, the crease of that maternal book. Poems slipped away, dripped gilt title, overstitched new author's name. Their rage, a birthing day, and their page, why there, a sheet, a pen, and everything of nothing yet to say. Oh, sleep, little one, leave poets to muffle their martial drum, and mother to proffer a depth of smile, the suck of thumb, to work and mark this long adventure of your page. There is little Maggie May. And me and the missus, we had 2 kids, and we had a next door neighbour called Patrick who was built like a brick shit house. He was a maintain, and he had 3 kids. And he used to entertain his kids by taking them down to the River Allen on Dover's Moor, where there's a bend in the river, which we used to get quite deep. And he would pick his kids up like this, and he'd just chuck them in the river. And they would fly through the air and land in the river and get up and come back for more. And Patrick said, I'll take your 2 kids swimming, Bert. You know, I said, all right, I'll come down later. So off he goes, and I arrive, and as I'm coming around the corner, there's my youngest daughter flying through the air like this, arcing through the air and landing in this very muddy looking water. And she surfaces, she comes back, she screams, more, I want more. And so this is called tombstoning in the River Allen at Dover's Moor. Summers always seem so much brighter, so much more full of fun, the further back you look. And I stand beside the careless river, beneath the bees about their business, beneath the thumping, grumbling rook, beneath the finger jive of syncopated leaves, each riding soaring solos on afternoon airs of their quartet. And there is Patrick, a mountain of a man, free and easy, and chucking children, some his, some mine, flailing spiders of daring and squealing into the deep pool of the river's meander. There he is, and trout dashing this way, that, into shadow between the roots of drunken sycamore and poetic willow. I feared for a moment for life and limb, then watched their faces, fearlessly excited and safe as houses, and everything that dry land and futures could find to caution and deter, to deflect and deflate, all shriveled before their lesson. And what comes is what comes. And splashing, submerging, exploding a brown plume of churning silt, reaching for the sun and finding the bank, soft grass and primrose husks in conference with shining dandelion stars, nothing to fear, and summers to observe from here as brighter, unchecked by vanity or fear, and chatter all the way home of everything to come, and this hour to be never forgotten, never, ever. And then I came to America to go to a wedding up St. Louis, and this is a song. And I went to the wedding of Alison and Cole, many years ago when Alison was about 8, she came to Cornwall to go to the wedding of her great-grandmother, of her great-grandmother. And during the funeral, which was it took place on the eve of the eclipse in 1999. And it was a remarkable thing because the people of Penwith are stalwart, tough, sanguine, small, wide people. And the Osborne family, of which there are thousands, packed the church. And there was Gran, and we held a service, and the St. Piran's flag flew from the mast on the tower, despite the vicar's worst fears of eternal damnation. And then we went to the graveyard, and she was let down into her grave. And as the top of her coffin disappeared below the surface, Alison let out a primeval howl, which spoke for everybody there. That's just all you need to know about this. Oh, I've watched a child into a woman grow, with light in her heart like a coal in the snow. Oh, I've watched her dance between Cornish stones and come to be a healer of old broken bones. And then when we stood into Wednock to mourn, she howled from her soul up there on the cairn. Her voice spoke for all our farewell to May, whose echo now lingers o'er this wedding day. And now she's a wand, a reed in the wind, a daffodil smile, a vine of a grin, a lily in winter, a rose by the hearth, a swan from the river, the lark of a laugh. Oh, I've watched a woman, her eyes open wide, her heart in her hand, her love by her side, in a palace of crystal across the salt sea, a healer with love, finding true liberty. She's taken for hers a coal from the snow. He's as golden as furs. They'll love and they'll hold. Groomsmen and bridesmaidens, they made a fine show. They made frozen waters of old Mississippi flow. And shadows of ghosts are waves on their shore. The rings on their fingers make keys to their door. She's a child forever, he's a boy in his heart. No spriggan nor reaper will cause them to part. And now she's a wand, a reed in the wind, a daffodil smile, a vine of a grin, a lily in winter, a rose by the hearth, a swan from the river, the lark of a laugh, a swan from the river, the lark of a laugh. Alison and Paul.
There we are.
Oh, question from the back.
Can you tell us what a spriggan is?
Oh, Springham, right. So, in Cornwall, there are two groups of beings which inhabit Cornwall. There's us humans who wander about making a mess, digging the place up, and covering everything in tarmac and concrete. And there's the Spriggans, the knockers, the buckers, the fairy folk, the pixies. And they go round and they help, they guide. Sometimes they make a little bit of mischief, and sometimes they assist people to do things which people are confused about doing themselves. So, at St. Hugh, it is said that nobody will drink the water from pools in concave dips in granite boulders on the moors at full moon. They will leave the water there to be bathed by the moon, so that the Spriggans can bathe the souls of stillborn children, and that helps them to pass on. Now that is the evidence of a really, really mature culture which has existed in Cornwall for thousands of years, and the little people are at the heart of it. And the Spriggan is the most mischievous of all. When there's a full moon, he'll send you off on the wrong path, he'll trip you up, he'll send you home when you want to go somewhere else, and he'll send you somewhere else when you want to go home. When there's no moon, and it's very, very dark, he'll just very quietly guide you along the path you need to follow to stay out of the swamp. So they're good people and naughty people. This I wrote yesterday morning, looking out of Richard's downstairs door at a white world, having visited the Cincinnati County Jail on that day. And this is called a Cincinnati Kentuckian ballad. Oh, white Kentucky shawl lies across her recumbent evening breast, not a print of claw or hoof or toe unwoven, yet draped from fallen snow. All is stillness. The freeway snakes of lights and presidential trucks crawl between abstract art in carpets across the lazy floor. The hopes of rebirth swallow bucks as new angles for old buildings flank their curves and cantilever limbs into the twilight air. We climb the executive metal stair and assume command of a conference room and receive slide rule columns, cumulative rows, and totals as yet not netted so tentatively gross and scarlet with anticipation that investment in regeneration will weigh itself in revenue gold. We walk cold concrete corridors and greet extended hands of officers about the duty of incarceration to restore inner respect of beauty to the eye and heart of every felon, tripped and punished by misdemeanor and held to account by videophone to acquire the dignity of vacuum-packed and filed suits of civilian clothes, of prices paid for falling flat across threshing holes of squat and needle, of city haunts, of splintered fires under bridges, and eyes through dusty glass lobotomized by denial of the cloud and rain of judgmental skies. Oh, see how they peer as visitors stride to get out of here, to cross the lot, walking the judge's J from license queues and partnerships, from platitudes and flamboyant modesties pouring forth from elected lips. See how we run, how the Kentucky day is pulling folds of winter's cloak and marking progress in footprints across the settling county snow. There you go. Now I'm going to read you a long poem. Not there, over here. Which is entitled Make sure I've got the last page. In Cornwall, we have a tourism industry. And tourists come and they stay for a week, a fortnight, and then they leave. And Saturday is known as changeover day. And on changeover day, everybody goes to get one lot out and one lot in, change over. This is called changeover day. Who be a vole, summertime, down St. Buryan Way, on changeover day. That's the day they Christians to call Saturday, day of Saturn, he with the rings, Roman patron of slaves. That's they who to creep out their ovals and Cornish units to clean caravans and chalets over Ale and Carbis Bay. Though they never seen no Romans, 'cause Romans never come here for a holiday, nor to scout out second homes for no mafia hideaway, 'cause the A30 ain't much caught for no high-speed getaway. But being a vole, changeover day, shortens your life down St. Buryan Way. The odds of skittering across the black tar ground between hedges without getting your pads scorched by bitumen sweating in the noonday sun, why, they're only slightly longer. In gambling, long and short is very confusing. Only slightly longer than if you dive between the wheels of a departing, lurching Peugeot and fetch out behind its rocking caravan unsquashed. A vole? Changeover day? Down St. Buryan Way? No way, Jose, no way. Now, the swallow flits in without warning. Its slipstream parts the grass. It turns tighter than its tail, so you only think you've seen him, but sure as talons, that swallow's been seen by the buzzard, and down he swoops, old Billy Buzzard, black as a cloud, showing off to his fledgling kid, circling like stacked out 747s over St. Column Airport. And dear vole, if that Peugeot don't get 'ee on changeover day down St. Buryan Way, then surely you'll be prey to a proud and feathery old buzzard dad. Odds on. So being a vole on changeover day shortens your life down St. Buryan Way. And while odds are on offer, short or long, if you ain't a vole burger pegged out on Highway 61, Porthcurno side of Boskenna, or your dignity stripped with most if not all of your flesh flayed and swallowed, if you ain't dangling from the beak of old Bowen Billy the jetliner buzzard of Buryan by midday, that Cornish sun, Saint Sinara's star, blazing down and bidding farewell, adieu, see again, do Guinness, to all they drenched and happy, checked out by 10 a.m. souls, and seducing the dry and stressed to get in under they ensuite showers before it rain. Then, my little vole, my rodent pal, you are bound to be caught by Granfer, proud as a coachman perched up on his TVO green and gold Atco Major, the old man's tractor. What a machine. Just big enough to spread your legs round the bonnet and flop your varicose toes down on the aching pedals without disturbing the sciatica. There he goes, old Granfer, 120 years a tilling this ground, scything the corn, crying neck after neck, till all the cows he've ever sold down market have come home. There he goes, sweeping round the campsite, round and round, in and out the frame tent suburbs, slicing French cricket's 6-hit tennis balls, mutilating old cotton browns, crashed and mangled kites, snipping the odd guy rope in hope of catching some young newlyweds or livers in sin at home in the daytime, and at it. His legs'll be bowed as a blowhole. He'll be wrapped and muffled against the wind. The hotter the day, the thicker the muffling. His blades will be razors. His field will be his watercolour board. And his mission? To scythe down the sins of the grass, to render rough and ready sward something akin to velvet, green velvet. He'll have your tail or a careless leg, or if you're halfway out or halfway in of a Tesco's bag of left behinds after you've sunk your Bugs Bunny incisors into putrefied corners of a grease-lagged burger, when you're licking your lips from the hunt, then he'll whiz and screech past, dreaming of acres mown for victory, for harvest, for pride, for the sake of it, for set aside, and best of all, for no reason at all. He's been out there round and round since his dad was the one who disappeared down Market Tuesdays to come home quite contented, milk cow sold and nothing to show in corduroy breeches. Yes, that old bugger will have your whiskers, and before you know it, you're naked, defrocked, and a lay rodent sermon to preach tomorrow. And I ask again, who'd be a vole down St. Buryan Way, with life cut shorter than a big house lawn on changeover day? By 6 the fields are crammed. They've cruised from pitch to pitch, 4x4s and roof-racked Fords. They've calculated wind direction against distance from facilities, I don't want to sleep with my toes in the air. All they tractors, power steering, diesel belching, all the way from Chelsea, and the know-alls flipping up their frame tents, stacking up the charcoal, igniting and talking in loud, cultured tones about the sweetness of country air and the need to make the polluter pay. Granfer pitches up on the Atco, sent round be mother with the leather bags. Staying all week, are he? Or just tonight? Tenner, boy. And the kids get the kites up. They kites, bloody contraptions. Not your Icarus sun cruisers dripping myth, nor your dangling diamonds. These kites reenact the bombardment of Guernica. Stuka banshee whales meld with max manoeuvrability, live effects, pterodactyls sporting laryngitis, cackle over whose poo's whitest, whose chick's scrawniest. This is get away from it all. Pterodactyl makes you want to say, don't come back till changeover day. Remember, to be a vole changeover day shortens your life down St. Buryan Way. And there it is, changeover day, a weird religious festival, a strangely Cornish feast for a patron saint of visitors. And he shall be blessed with no name who has stripped away the smile and laid bare the outstretched hand. You might intone from a pulpit, it's a text, O whiskerless priest, a text to your whiskerless soul. 'Tis a pagan ritual, changeover day. It turns good souls, makes them rush out into streets to lay palm fronds on rough stones, to ease the bunions of weary pilgrims, to polish up the brown signs, to touch up the red roses. 'Twas invented by Q and Sylvanus Travail, and visitor one, come one glorious day, he come on the train, paintbrush, straw hat, tubes of paint, snuff box full of life after mining powder, diversification after farming, harbour trips after fishing, all snuffed up the nose, the long, ponderous moment, the sneeze, and visitor one told visitor two, and then they invented the motor car. Well, that was Dick Trevithick, who should have known better, but he couldn't see. 'Twas Henry Ford discovered how to make money out of cars. All they empty houses, skivvies and waiters, and towns snowed under by gulls. Dick couldn't see the pillow over the face of life and love and language for the clouds of steam, I suppose. Now, 'tis changeover day. The mighty St. Buryan vole ain't got no place to hide, no quiet place to feed his soul. The fittest survive. A bit of fun, you understand, a little entertainment for a rainy day, for visitors. At twilight, the crow's gone hunting out of earshot, the vole, the swallow, and the buzzard to meet up behind the shower block to come to a little arrangement. Tomorrow, when they're all discovering tailbacks, soft, pale flesh, yellow sand everywhere, in the food, in the book, in the car, rising with the sun to trudge the dew, the early morning queue for a pee, we're going fishing, declare these three, the vole, the swallow, the buzzard. You may think it strange, rodents and birds gone fishing. What we mean is, like a lot of fishing species, we're going to find a rocking place far away, far, far away from everywhere. We'll have a flask, half of yesterday's pasty, maybe a bit of old mother's saffron cake, and we're going to sit hour after hour. We, vole, swallow, and buzzard, will watch the tide come in, the tide go out, come in, go out, till we've had enough. Then we'll stand up, stretch our claws and paws and snouts and beaks, pack up all our bits, leave a crust for the mermaid in case she's peckish later. We'll grunt quietly to each other, without sadness, without joy, and we'll say each to the other, "Nothing doing today, Billy. Never mind, boy, never mind." And that's how, if you're a vole down St. Buryan way on changeover day, you stop your life getting shorter, and with a bit of luck, you stop the lamb and the dying duck going to slaughter in a thunderstorm. All the animals, all the birds, spiders and beetles and curly worms on changeover day, they go fishing to stay out of the way. Now you know. So I'm going to finish up with a couple of bits here. The first one is a song called The Mermaid Song. By the gate of a second, this tells the tragic story of Cornwall, but the triumphant story of a nation that will not be crushed by force majeure. Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you. Gosh, these little plastic caps are little fugitives from justice. I think it speaks for itself. It refers to the story of the mermaid of Zennor, who was a mermaid, and she caught the eye of young Matty Trewella, who was walking along the cliff, and he fell instantly in love with her. And of course she was a mermaid, and so the love could be unrequited unless Matty Trewella agreed to go and live under the water. And that was the end of Matty Trewella. By the gate of a second home gravelled track, in a black plastic garbage sack, sad Kerno wrapped old cousin Jack, this spinning wheel's unoiled clack rings around your poor bow nacked. But hark, there by the crumbling stack, a song of summer's burned heather black. Why, Kerno, lift flooded hearts and smile a crack. That song is ours, that mermaid's back. Condemned, our spirits tossed on prison cot, our crime untried, the strangling knot tightened by dawn's dampish dew, and we forgot to print our name upon the chart or plot a course through the 20th century's lot. But a song, true and clear, echoes anew in this Celtic spot. Why, Kerno, lift flooded hearts and smile a crack, that song is ours, that mermaid's back. Oh Matty, my Matty, come take my hand, come down to the shore, the edge of our land. The sea is my song, and I am the sea, and the song of the sea is a long golden key. Too long have we been apart. Unlock the joys of your sealed heart. Oh Matty, my Matty, I've come back to you. Carry me home, dear, we've so much to do. Though the sting of pick on reddish ore barely rings, the strike of fire lights the core as that mermaid sings, and from stope to tore, stiff Cornish sinews wind and soar among smiling clouds in a sky empty no more. Come, skip to her rhythm, our mermaids ashore. Why, Kerno, lift flooded hearts and smile a crack, that song is ours, that mermaid's back. There. And finally, the song with which I end everything. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Oh, please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you by my side. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. Oh, I hung my head and I cried. You told me once, dear, you really loved me, and no one else would come between. But now you left me to love another. Well, you have shattered all my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You made me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Oh, please don't take my sunshine away. And I'll always love you, I'll make you happy, if you will only say the same. But if you leave me to love another, will you regret all someday? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Oh, please don't take my sunshine away. There you go. Thank you very much. Kerno Bisvicken. God bless America. And thank you very much. And thank you very much to the Newport, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Kentucky Library. And thank you very much to my audience. Been lovely playing for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we are. Was,
Bert, I have a question. for
was that
you.
all right?
How does your being a musician inform your poetry, your writing of poetry, your
Have you read
casting
Charles
of-
Causley?
No.
Charles Causley was a balladeer and writes contemporary poetry in a very strict tempo. And Charles Causley started out, before he went to war and learned how to write poetry, he started out as a piano player in a dance band.
Mhm.
Recording stopped.
And I think that if you have got that 4/4 time, then you end up with that rhythm pushing behind you most of the time. The part of the craft is to learn how to play with the rhythm.
Mhm.
So you can iambically pentameter along, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then every now and again you can create a break or a change of tempo or a change of time signature. And that's all part and parcel of writing the poems. And actually the poems in many ways give you greater freedom than the music, because the
Right.
music tends to be so mathematically regular.
Regular, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like sometimes while you're reading, and it might also be because you play music between, but while you're reading,